over 30 stories, 8 layers. This is the definitive strange and tragic internet stories iceberg. Even now, you must be remembering some similar things you might have heard or encountered. This iceberg goes from the more sad and tragic ones to the very obscure, strange, and disturbing stories. These will take you through all kinds of emotions, and they are the most emotional and downright disturbing stories you will ever encounter in your life. Let's start with the tip of the iceberg. Etika's story leans toward the tragic side of internet stories, as the young and vibrant 29-year-old took his life in 2019 after having a series of mental breakdowns and signs of erratic behavior in public spaces, which he attributed strongly to social media overuse and lots of pressure. For those who are unfamiliar with the gaming space and reaction videos, Etika, born Desmond Daniel Amafa, was a gamer, YouTuber, and online streamer across multiple social media platforms. He gained popularity for his viral videos, capturing his enthusiastic reactions to Super Smash Bros. And other games. Let's be real, more often than not, some people in the online space seem to forget that creators are not immune to stress and negative reactions to their content, no matter how much profit they make from their work. Etika had been demonstrating signs of mental illness with multiple threats to commit suicide on Twitter and was hospitalized several times. Soon after, he uploaded pornographic content on YouTube, which led, amongst other reasons, to the termination of 2 of his accounts. Most people felt he was an attention seeker who pulled stunts with his situation. However, in his final video, which he uploaded shortly before his death, Etika had this to say, "Let my story advise caution on too much of the social media shit, man. It can f you up. It can give you an image of what you want your life to be, and it can get blown completely out of proportion, dog. Unfortunately, it consumed me." Not long after, leaving his personal belongings by the walkway, he jumped into the Manhattan Bridge, where he died by drowning. Hey, maybe this is your sign to check your social media overuse. The name Stefan Karl Stefansson may not immediately ring a bell, but think Nickelodeon. Try Lazy Town. Of course, he is the famous Robbie Rotten, and even if you are not a fan, a couple of Robbie Rotten memes may have graced your timeline at one point or the other, or maybe the "We Are #1" song from the show. Sadly, in October 2016, Stefan Karl announced that he was battling bile duct cancer. Later, a GoFundMe was set up by the Lazy Town head writer to support the actor since he could not work, and it surpassed the target. After a little ray of hope from surgery in 2017, Stefan Karl declared that the damn disease is gone, which made everyone happy. However, in March 2018, the disease reared its ugly head again and was declared inoperable. Not long after, he discontinued chemotherapy, which he had earlier continued to prolong his life, and closed all his social media accounts. Karl Stefan later died in August 2018 from his illness at the age of 43. The famous saying, "All good things must come to an end," summarizes the life of Technoblade as a person, which is sad. Technoblade was very loved by his fan base in the gaming world, and even in death, everyone agrees that the world lost a little too soon. In the words of Mojang Studios, Technoblade became synonymous with a source of good. Technoblade started his internet career early enough in 2013 and focused solely on gaming. But in August 2021, what felt like a shoulder pain reaction from playing video games turned out to be a cancer called metastatic sarcoma. After a year-long battle, his father announced his death on June 30th, 2022, in a YouTube video titled "So Long Nerds," which featured a note from him. Following his passing, massive tributes poured in, even from the creators of Minecraft, Mojang Studios. They added a new splash text to the Minecraft title screen, "Technoblade Never Dies." The phrase has since been used by YouTube in a tribute video to him and has been reused in several videos since then. At the time of his death, he had over 10 million subscribers and posthumously reached 15 million subscribers. Indeed, Technoblade never dies. And next up, we move to dead YouTubers. One moment, our favorite people are with us, and the next minute, they are gone. Their footprints are still all around us, especially those whose accounts were never deleted. Over the years, the internet has witnessed some of the most shocking and surprising deaths within this space, resulting from cancer, suicide, a shootout, or other causes. One such death is that of Zelodexlove64, a 21-year-old American singer and songwriter famous for participating in The Voice. Everyone was waiting eagerly for her to hit the 4 million subscribers, and just 100 subscribers shy of it, She was gunned down by a deranged fan during her show in June 2016. Also, we have Monty who died of a severe allergic reaction following a medical procedure, leaving behind about 9.59 million subscribers. Jonathan Grant Thompson, the king of random, who died in a paraglider accident. Steve Cash, who died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There are many more that we do not even know or that can't be mentioned. We can only hope that they are all in a happy place. This one would be especially hard on the pet lovers community. Popular or not, animals are adorable creatures loved by many, and after knowing them for so long, they become a huge part of those who know them, especially internet animals. On TikTok, Instagram, and other social media platforms, most cats and dogs own a sizable fan base that even trumps that of humans, and it is only natural for their fans to feel sad when they are no more. One such internet sensation was the TikTok star Noodle the Pug, who died at age 14 and a half in 2023. The pug won people over by playing a game called No Bones with its owner on TikTok, which garnered a lot of attention. Another beloved internet animal was Pot Roast, a black and white toothless cat who died in the arms of her owner from a disease known as F5. In December 2019, Lil Bub died at the age of 8. Until her death, Lil Bub was the subject of a Vice documentary, the star of a mobile video game, and she was also turned into a plush toy. I bet you cannot hold a scowl and look so effortlessly disinterested as Grumpy Cat. Grumpy Cat was perhaps the most famous internet cat. Grumpy, whose real name was Tartar Sauce, became popular because of her permanent scowl, which her owners attributed to dwarfism and an underbite. The cat quickly became a subject of internet memes shared across different platforms. Grumpy was featured in ads and many television appearances, won a lawsuit, visited the BBC, and even had her own Christmas movie. After spreading laughter and joy on the internet, Grumpy Cat died in 2019 at the age of 7, following a complication from a urinary tract infection. The last on this tier comes down to Stephen Hilton's YouTube. Stephen Hilton is a popular YouTuber, composer, influencer, and a bit of a smart mouth. He can be very opinionated regarding subjects he is convinced about. Well, he got into a bit of trouble and was kicked off YouTube when he made a video about Hollywood trafficking. His account was deactivated and demonetized for breaching community guidelines, and some people thought he deserved it because they felt he was hateful. But he is back on YouTube with what looks like another account and posting mild stuff, but some people have taken it upon themselves to ask YouTube to ban him again. Tier 2 starts with JasonInHell. Jason was truly in hell because what? Take a moment before you continue, because you will need it, since Tier 2 is all about strangely tragic stories and multiple double takes. In 2016, a Redditor named Jason Worley posted on Reddit under the name JasonInHell to share his story. Apparently his wife and the mother of their 2 children have been cheating on him with a neighbor. After multiple denials from her, he finally gathered enough evidence to confront her, but Brandy Worley, his wife, was not repentant. Rather, she took to gaslighting him with the children, threatening to tell them that he kicked her out, so he stayed. But his life soon became unbearable, and he took to Reddit for advice. His post soon became viral, and netizens dropped their advice, ranging from couple counseling to divorce. Finally, on November 15, 2016, Jason told Brandy he wanted a divorce. Less than 48 hours later, Brandy went shopping for a combat knife, which turned out to be the murder weapon. Later, she lured their children, a 7-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, into a room where she stabbed them to death and stabbed herself in the neck while Jason was asleep in the basement. Brandy Worley would later say that she killed them so that Jason would not take them from her. She not only killed her children, she called 911 to report her crime. After finding her guilty, Brandy is now serving a 120-year prison sentence, while Jason has been trying to move on with life after the loss of his kids and the divorce. This story feels like something straight out of a mystery or ghost-themed movie. Not only is it strange, it is very weird and disturbing. So, Eric and Annie were 2 strangers who met on Reddit and formed a sort of friendship that evolved into a bit of poetic romance here and there before ending in radio silence and disappearance. One day, Eric made a lengthy post on Reddit describing a monthly payday tradition of eating out with his wife. After 15 years, they separated, but he still wanted to continue the tradition, so he invited people to hang out with him on Reddit. Another Reddit user, Annie, replied to the message saying that while she's interested, she lives far away. She suggested a sort of friendship between them with two conditions: that it should be public, moving from the Reddit branch to branch but no DMs, and it should remain platonic since she had a partner at the time. If you're unfamiliar with the Reddit branch system, it's like public threads where everyone can see your messages. Eric agreed, and they sent lengthy paragraphs to each other, numbering over 24,000 messages in one branch, and they moved on to several more branches over the years, once each one was full or blocked. As their messages grew, they left the platonic territory to intimate discussions and endearments as if they were lovers. One day, Annie decided to call it quits in another lengthy paragraph and practically dropped off the face of Reddit. Eric did not take it lightly, but after waiting for over a year, in which he created a last branch, sent and replied to messages, and wrote notes to Annie that went, "I replied." He ended with cryptic and sad messages and also dropped off Reddit. Other Reddit users have since dropped theories and predictions on what possibly happened to the Reddit couple, if you can call them that. Forgotten YouTubers only had their 15 minutes of fame, and they vanished for different reasons. For instance, some stopped creating because people became uninterested, or the secret they built their channel around has been exposed. One such forgotten channel is Lonely Girl 15. The channel Lonely Girl 15 was built around a fictional character named Bree, whom people were led to believe was homeschooled and had parents with a mysterious religion. She typically shared aspects of her life through vlogs. After a while, people discovered that the series was scripted and it went downhill. Now, the channel is abandoned. Another forgotten YouTuber would be Tay Zonde. 8 to 6 years ago, he was popular on YouTube, especially for Chocolate Rain, but his fame was short-lived as he has not maintained a strong presence on YouTube for many years and not a lot users can claim to know him now. Jordy McCarthy Jordan, known as Wings of Redemption, perfectly depicts the reverse of grass to grace from his career to his personal life. Jordy thrived as a gamer and streamer under the name Wings of Redemption on YouTube and Twitch. But he seems to have a lot of baggage, from anger issues to his weight, and a string of lies and deceit that has not exactly helped his case. Jordy thrived as a gamer playing Call of Duty and quickly racked up 100,000 subscribers. But now, he is a plaything for trolls and nasty comments on the internet. Severally, he has been foul-mouthed by fans while playing, and he is famously known for not accepting defeat. After quitting YouTube for Twitch, he violated Twitch regulations and ported right back to YouTube. Meanwhile, he has been accused of mismanaging and lying about funds contributed for his weight loss surgery, which has a lot of murky details. Nowadays, he fights off trolls and throws raging fits. As of 2023, he was known to have been trying out a boxing career. But, even then, the trolls are relentless. Gabe the Dog became loved on the internet after his owner posted silly and goofy videos of the little, fluffy, old dog barking and howling funnily. Gabe was instantly likable, and people began to remix his barking into songs. Memes about Gabe started to circulate, and a page dedicated to the adorable dog on Facebook emerged. On January 20th, 2017, Gabe the Dog died at the age of 12 after a consistent struggle with his heart. Gabe is remembered for dressing in funny costumes and hats for videos and songs and is fondly loved by a great fan base. Long Cat was another internet darling among animals. The cat was originally named Shiro, but became Long Cat because of her length. Long Cat became popular on the internet after an image of her outstretched in someone's hand made it to a Japanese channel. She quickly became the object of memes and developed a large fan base. Her owners reported Long Cat as a deaf stray they picked up and nurtured since 2002. At the age of 18, the cat died from ill health after visiting the hospital, and as usual, fans took to social media to express their grief over the loss of the now collectively owned internet animal. Strange things happen on the internet daily, but Reddit may just be the place for all the juicy and strange stuff. In 2010, a gaming subreddit on Reddit posted a thread asking users to name their favorite pod in a role-playing video game. People began to drop expected responses until a user named YayVideoGames commented with incoherent and rather cryptic messages. After the fruitless prompts for some explanation of his rambling by other users, he populated the thread with about 4,000 messages of the same ramble in a few hours. Every comment was a variation of, "Ubisoft goes Steamworks bye-bye always on DRM," with embedded links to cryptic images. After deep research, it turned out he frequents another subreddit with the same MO and multiple accounts. Some believed that he was a troll, but another user revealed that YayVideoGames was named Lyndon, and he experiences nightmarish hallucinations, anxiety, and chronic pain, amongst others. After he stopped posting, it was discovered that he had taken his own life, and his best friend Luke wrote a message about Lyndon's struggles, self-medication, pain, and eventual death. And the last in Tier 2 is Randy Stair. Do you know how we all plan a to-do list for the week or deliberately plan things we would do ahead of time? Well, some people like Randy Stair plan murders like that. Randy Stair was responsible for the Eton Township Weiss Markets shooting in Pennsylvania. On June 8, 2017, after uploading videos and files to his Twitter account detailing how he would do the did, Stair locked down the store where he worked. While other staff members were getting ready to close up, he ambushed and killed 3 of his colleagues with a gun, with the 4th person managing to run out and call for help. Unfortunately, before help arrived, the victims died, and Stair ate his gun. And what was his motive? He believed that by dying, he would be reborn as a female ghost from Danny Phantom. That was why people leading perfectly normal lives had to die. From 2005 to 2017, Club Penguin was a huge part of everyone's childhood, as the massive multiplayer game gave an escape into a virtual world that was fun and safe. Far from being an online game for children, it taught 6 to 14-year-olds and interested adult players some real-life lessons, such as how to interact and wisely spend money. During its run, it had over 200 million penguins, which refers to the different user accounts existing on the network. Though Club Penguin was accused of allowing cheating and use of profanities, the game was solid. In a tragic turn of events, 2015 saw a massive decline in Club Penguin's popularity, and Disney had to start laying off staff. The game struggled till 2017 before an official announcement that it was done for good, with players bidding farewell in a flurry of heart emojis, thank yous, horn toots, and messages of love. Though we will never again return to an igloo for an I've Been Delayed concert, the memories will always live on. Yet again, cancer swoops in to snatch off another vibrant and promising creator. Remember Edd's World? Edd Gould created that. Edd was an animator, artist, and voice actor, popular in comedy with the most thriving channel during his time. He broke new ground in his genre and drew comics featuring his closest friends. In April 2011, Edd revealed that he was diagnosed with a sort of leukemia that affected the white blood cells and later released a video on YouTube titled Eddie vs. Cancer, where he discussed it with his friends. At the age of 23, Eddie died from an infection caused by cancer on 25 March 2012 and was cremated afterwards with some of his ashes buried and some scattered near the Hollywood sign by his closest friends. Edd may have died, but his legacy lives on through Edd's World and his cherished works. The last story on Tier 3 is about Ray Johnstone. Okay, this one is a good sort of strange that would melt your heart. Have you ever known someone who accidentally became popular on the internet? Well, here is Ray Johnstone. One thing is certain, Ray Johnstone never meant to become an internet sensation. Ray Johnstone is a retired widower living in Australia who loves fishing. After losing his former fishing mate, he was looking for a new one and innocently posted an ad on Gumtree about it. In a sweet and simple text, he introduced himself and wrote of his need for a fishing mate and his willingness to cover all expenses. His ad went viral with many people indicating an interest, and soon enough, he counted responses in thousands. 22-year-old Mati Basilinas, whose family owns a small fishing business, saw an article on the ad on Facebook and responded to it with an offer to take Ray on a fishing trip to Queensland. Mati, who lives about 900 kilometers away from Ray, paid for him and his grandson to come over for the trip to the delight of the old widower. And the rest, as they say, is history. The first story in Tier 4 is Everywhere at the End of Time. People make music about all kinds of things, but it's only sometimes that we listen to music made about an illness. Everywhere at the End of Time is a 6-part project released between 2016 and 2019 as an endnote to The Caretaker, a pseudonym for the English electronic musician Leyland Kirby. The 6 studio albums use different musical patterns to depict 6 out of the 7 stages of dementia, with each album dedicated to one stage. The project everywhere at the end of time portrays a gradual but terrifying deterioration of the human mind, consisting of confusion, failed remembrance, terror, and eventually, the complete loss of self. It has been accurately described as a cinematic-like story of experiencing loss, struggling, and deteriorating down to nothing. If dementia is portrayed accurately by this album, then it's undoubtedly one of, if not the most, terrifying thing to go through in this world. No, not Moirai, the Greek mythology about fates. This one was an experimental game developed by Chris Johnson and 2 others. The title of Moirai references the Moirai of mythology, whose personification of fate connects to the themes of player choice in the game. According to Chris, the lead developer, he spent some time sweating over the details of the game after drawing inspiration from the experimental play, A Game of You. The game features life in a small village where a woman named Julia has gone missing, and the player is tasked to save her from a cave. The player decides Julia's fate after finding her, and the next player determines each player's fate. When the game got on Steam, YouTube gamers and streamers jumped on the game and more people poured in, which exceeded the initial expectations. The server naturally found it difficult to accommodate more players. While Chris struggled with that, Moirai came under a high degree of trolling and abuse, including an attack on the game's server by a hacker. Soon enough, Moirai crashed under the burden of such an attack, and the developers discontinued it in June 2017 due to repeated hacks of its database. Grape-Kun was an elderly Humboldt penguin who fell in love with the cardboard cutout of Kimono Friends character Hululu. Grape was housed at Tobu Zoo in Japan. The penguin came into the limelight after he blew up the internet with his attachment to the anime character, a female penguin named Hululu. Grape had initially hatched a chick with Midori, but his relationship with Midori became rocky after the chick was taken away. Midori drifted off to a younger penguin after a decade of being together, making Grape lonely. Other penguins equally rejected association with Grape-Kun, which made him all the more lonely. However, in April 2017, the Tobu Zoo placed cutouts of characters from the Kimono Friends anime series around the zoo, and Hululu happened to be the one closest to Grape-Kun's enclosure. Grape would be seen staring at and trying to reach out to the cutout daily, and media netizens concluded that Grape had fallen in love. While the zoo was in the middle of planning an event to honor Grape-Kun, his health began to decline, and he died on the 12th of October 2017 at the age of 21. Cyberbullying has never felt more infuriating because how did a victim move to getting blamed for speaking up? Jessie Slaughter was a preteen around the age of 11 at the time of the incident. In 2010, they made a video with their father, which would later go viral, addressing rumors accusing her of having a sexual relationship with the lead singer of Blood on the Dance Floor, Davi Vanity. This resulted in telephone and internet harassment by the fanbase of the music band on 4chan and Anonymous, going further to reveal Jessie Slaughter's identity and address. Amidst all this, Jessie reportedly started to get blamed, with friends ditching her and all sorts of stories getting made up about her. Vanity repeatedly denied knowing Jessie and accused her of mental illness. What started as cyberbullying degenerated into stalking and harassment, and Jessie had to be placed under police protection with her family as well as therapy for harassment. Jessie has taken up talking about issues of rape and harassment on multiple platforms, and well over 21 women have leveled the same accusations against Vanity, with all claiming to be below the age of consent when it happened. One chance truly goes by its name because you have only one chance at playing the game, and you have only 6 days within the game to make a choice that can save people from a deadly outbreak. The player acts as a scientist named Dr. Pilgrim, who is supposed to create a cure for cancer. The problem is this: not only does the cure kill the cancerous cells, but it also kills all living cells, and the player has to reverse the situation. One chance teaches the importance of thinking before doing, acting, and reacting because, in the bid to do good, the scientist procures the worst fate for humanity as he watches people, including his loved ones, count down to their deaths. Katawa Shoujo begins Tier 5. Katawa Shoujo is a visual novel game that originated in Japan by 4 Leaf Studios. It follows the story of a young man and 5 female characters living with different forms of disabilities. The player takes the role of Hisao Nakai, the young man in the game who experienced a tragic turnaround that takes him through a significant life change. Hisao Nakai's world comes to a halt after a heart attack from a bad heart condition, which affects the normal rhythm of his heartbeat. Some users and reaction videos have debated the romantic undertone of the game, where Hisao eventually gets into a romantic relationship with one of the 5 women, depending on the player's choices. Sadly, the studio announced the end of support for the game, which brought it to an end and debunked any chance of future continuation in 2015. Up next is Jean Ray. Jean Ray was a promising American actor, dancer, and choreographer. He was discovered as a raw but untrained talent who excelled in his craft as an actor. However, he has always been troubled and was almost doomed from the start, as the director of one of his famous movies, Fame, confessed that he had to approach the young man cautiously since his mother was a drug dealer. Trailing his numerous successes was his self-confessed love for parties, drugs, and alcohol. His life fell apart, and he was soon out of action and reduced to sleeping on park benches and squatting with a porn actress. Ray was later diagnosed with HIV, and he died from a stroke and complications from AIDS at the age of 41 in 2003. Terry A. Davis's story is painfully sad because he was way too talented to have ended in such a way. As a computer programmer, many believed he was a genius and one of a kind after he single-handedly created Temple OS, a public domain operating system whose development is way too complicated, time-consuming, and unusual for one person to carry out. At one point, Davis became an atheist, but he later said that he heard from God, which gave him a spiritual turnaround. David was initially diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was later said to be a schizophrenic. This affected him significantly as he almost always felt he was under attack from unseen figures and federal agents, which put him on the run half the time. Apart from his intense concentration on web surfing and coding, Davis spent his latter years shuffling between homelessness, incarceration, and hospitals. But he later stopped medication because he felt it reduced his creativity. On August 11, 2018, at the age of 48, Davis walked backward into a moving train and was said to have only turned just before impact, so his death was between suicide and being an accident, though the train engineer leaned toward suicide. Yongning was a Chinese stuntman who reportedly took the risk to provide money for his poor family and ailing mother. His videos garnered a lot of reaction from fans across different streaming platforms, and he was particularly known for not using equipment for some of his stunts. Yongning, popularly known as the Daredevil or China's first rooftopper, had about 1 million subscribers across social media. His stunts pulled so much attention that even the stunt leading to his death went viral because he filmed them. The 26-year-old fell from the 62-story Huaiwan International Center while filming a stunt that day. The camera captured the moment he let go, falling about 45 feet to his death on a terrace below. His mother sued a live streaming platform for negligence to ensure his safety, which she won. The last in Tier 5 is Amanda Todd. Yet again, another case of cyberbullying. Seriously, how much damage would be enough to make people learn that everyone on the internet has feelings and people cannot just type horrible things at them? Amanda Todd was 15 years old when she began to be blackmailed to expose her breasts on webcam, bullied, and physically assaulted. The incident resulted in more threats, bullying, and blackmail, which made her family move from one town to another to ensure her safety. But her assailants never rested as they trailed her everywhere. Her pictures were shared across the internet, and her blackmailer always posed as a friend on Facebook who was interested in joining her new school to out her to her new classmates. In turn, she received all forms of insults, both physically and within the online space, leading to anxiety and depression, among other effects. On more than one occasion, Amanda attempted suicide, self-harm, and cutting to end it all because her past trailed her everywhere non-stop. A month before her death, she posted a video in which she used flashcards to tell her story. On October 10, 2012, she committed suicide by hanging. People began to raise awareness against cyberbullying, and an investigation revealed Aidan Corbin, a multiple-time offender for sexual blackmail, was guilty of blackmailing Amanda. He was sentenced to 13 years imprisonment in 2022. Oh-In-Hye was a 36-year-old actress and model who was also a YouTuber. Fans were attracted to her because of her exceptional confidence and ability to put herself out there. To the ordinary person, everything seemed to be going well for the celebrity actress when, on 14th September 2020, she was found unconscious in her apartment by a friend who rushed her to the hospital. It was reported that the star actress gained consciousness for a bit before finally giving up the ghost, and doctors said her cause of death was cardiac arrest due to suicide. A lot of speculation has been made about the last video on her YouTube channel and how she may have been trying to pass a hidden message through it to her fans. The famous last video, which was supposed to be episode 46, was recorded as episode 48. That was not the only inconsistency in the video, as she not only seemed distracted, but from 48 seconds into the video to the next minute, there was a consistent buffering while she repeatedly took what looked like a big comb to her neck. They may just be speculations, but what if it was really a hidden message? One thing about a person's dying wish, you can't alter it, and it most likely has to be done. This is the dying wish of a Reddit user, GlitteringCraft207. So, 2 years ago, this Redditor posted that 13 days earlier, they had been diagnosed with an inoperable spine tumor with 6 months to a year left to live. The user was keen on leaving a mark in the world, and they had particular wishes in mind to fulfill. To do this, they wanted to reach out to radio stations and YouTube channels to save music from obscurity. Specifically, he wanted to find a song that has haunted him for so long after catching some of the lyrics on KXT Denton. He opened a YouTube channel to gather and share everything sent to him, and Redditors poured in their support. This user's story may have been sad and tragic, but Redditors did not make him feel alone, as they encouraged him to get a second opinion and wished him well. The user updated the initial post at intervals, with updates on the findings, till someday he stopped posting updates. Not every old person is wise, but Bernard Albertson was definitely a wise soul. Have you ever come across a popular video by an old man called An Old Man's Advice? If you have, Albertson was the one behind it. Albertson became an internet sensation after his video went viral. In the video, he gave meaningful advice to the younger generation and urged them to make every moment count. Many confessed that the video helped them get over depression, despair, and suicide. Albertson, at some point after the loss of his wife, with loneliness and depression, had wanted to commit suicide, but he stopped because he felt he had more to live for. Some of the words in his famous advice say, "Don't forget to be happy, because life is short and you only have one chance to live it. So make it count, make it meaningful, make it memorable, make it yours." Bernard was said to have suffered from different diseases in his latter years, including cancer and diabetes, but he impacted lives through his videos, faith, and books. One question always trailed Seijuro. It was how he was allowed to go around in public with a sword. Kairo Seijuro became famous after breaking up an unfair fight on the subway where many men were against one man. Kairo Seijuro was known primarily for his sword and the lethality that goes with it. He firmly believed that his sword gave him some sort of confidence, and he acted on it. Sadly, the swordsman drowned in Cloudy Lake after falling out of his boat on his way to train with his student at the Sunflower Island. He used his last strength to save his young student and his sword before the water overpowered him. Chip Chan was a South Korean woman who live-streamed for the most part of 12 years to share her mental health, mind control, and issues with torture. For the most part, she was seen inside her apartment in contorted positions, with obvious messages written in Korean language around her. Chip Chan made the disturbing live streams from her apartment and documented her living conditions. She believed that a police officer named P was after her life and a Vera chip was planted in her body to control her. In a mysterious turn of events, Chip Chan, whose real name and details are not known, has gone missing and nobody has been able to say anything tangible about her whereabouts after many years. 4chan is an online English-based image board where people post anonymously about different things. There are different boards on 4chan for different topics from creativity, culture, and anime to a whole lot of others. If you're ever looking for a way to get in your feelings or be overly emotional, the Feels thread will help you touch base. It hosts different stories from people seeking to unburden themselves from what they feel about themselves, their families, or their general environment. You'll read about people battling illnesses, getting ready for cosplay, having a hard time, and other things. Just a tiny piece of advice: do not open the feels thread if you're not ready to feel. I'll let you be the judge of whether this one is strange, obscure, or plain weird. So about 11 years ago, a YouTube user going by the username @5 made a comment on a video about the Sims soundtrack. In the comment, he revealed that he had a crush on his friend, Melissa, in 8th grade. At the time of the post, he claimed to be 25, but said that he had never loved any of the women he had dated so far like he loved Melissa. However, @5 never got to express his feelings to her because she died in a car accident with her parents. He felt that if he had told her how he felt, that would have somehow saved Melissa's life. Here comes the strange part. He concluded by saying that he had a family with Melissa, she was his wife, and they had 2 kids together and millions of simoleons every few years. He powers up his PC to see how she is doing, and she's happy. On Halloween Day in 2006, 18-year-old Nikki Katsuras had lunch with her family, after which her father left for work. Not long after, the ordinarily shy and reserved girl drove out in her father's Porsche 911, which is so out of character considering that she has never done that before. The girl's mother saw her through the window and she called her father to report it. Nikki's father called 911 and was placed on hold. By the time the operator returned to the line, it was to inform him that there had been an accident involving Nikki. Pictures of the accident were taken by the patrol team as a procedure, but the parents were not allowed to identify the body for obvious reasons. Nobody deserved to see their child like that. It was that bad, but the internet had other plans. The photos leaked from 2 patrol officers to other people, and they made their way to the internet. Some crazy people on the internet took to taunting her parents with the photo through email with creepy messages attached. They even threatened to show Nikki's sister at school, who had to be withdrawn and homeschooled for safety. Tracy Twyman was, without doubt, a danger to people of the occult and child sex circle as her research was going too deep, and clearly annoying some top people who could be in trouble if she exposed them. Twyman was a researcher and nonfiction writer. She researched the occult and child sex ring and made waves because of what she knew. However, nobody knew the extent of her knowledge of the situation, and the research was a dangerous endeavor in itself. Before her death, some other people researching Gate had already died, like Isaac Cappy, whom she was in touch with. In 2019, at the age of 40, she was found hanging from her garage. Most people do not conform to the idea that it was suicide, and a lot of theories have suggested that just maybe her investigation may have led to that, but who knows?